Greetings, this is Brother Eli with another episode of Bible Truth Revealed. This teaching is entitled, The Mystery of the Fourth Kingdom. That is, the mystery of the fourth kingdom. In Daniel chapter 2, we learn of four kingdoms that would successively rule the world until the Most High destroys them all and establishes his own kingdom on earth that would never be destroyed. Today, we will explore the book of Daniel to identify the four ruling kingdoms and reveal the mystery of the fourth kingdom, which is the one that is currently in power. It will quickly become clear why this current kingdom must be destroyed by the Most High himself. In this teaching, I will be speaking extensively about the children of Lucifer, also known as the so-called white man. Many Israelites mistakenly believe that the so-called white man is Esau, also known as the Edomites, for irrefutable proof that the so-called white man is not Esau. Please listen to my teaching entitled, Hebrew Israelites Lie About the White Man. That is, Hebrew Israelites lie about the white man. The Holy Scriptures use imagery to reveal events that the Most High determined would come to pass. However, these images are also explained so that we can have a thorough understanding of the meaning of dreams and visions regarding the last days. We'll be exploring the dream of King Nebuchadnezzar or Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel chapter 2. And I will be reading from the Brenton Septuagint translation. Daniel chapter 2, verses 1 to 2, 25 to 28, and 31 to 40. That's Daniel chapter 2, verses 1 to 2, 25 to 28, and verses 31 to 40. It reads thus. In the second year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed a dream, and his spirit was amazed, and his sleep departed from him. And the king gave orders to call the enchanters and the magicians, and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, to declare to the king his dreams, and they came and stood before the king. So the king forgot his dream. He wanted them to tell him what his dream was, and to provide the interpretation. Verse 25, Then Arioch in haste brought in Daniel before the king, and said to him, I have found a man of the children of the captivity of Judea, who will declare the interpretation to the king. And the king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Balthasar, Canst thou declare to me the dream which I saw, and the interpretation thereof? And Daniel answered before the king and said, The mystery which the king asked the explanation of is not in the power of the wise men, magicians, enchanters, or soothsayers to declare to the king. But there is a God in heaven, revealing mysteries, and he has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what things must come to pass in the last days. So today, we're going to understand the mysteries that the Most High revealed to the prophet Daniel about things that must come to pass in the last days. And additionally, we are going to learn the mystery of the fourth kingdom. It continues, Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are as follows. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, an image. That image was great, and the appearance of it excellent, standing before thy face. And the form of it was terrible. It was an image the head of which was of fine gold, its hands and breast and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of brass, its legs of iron, its feet part of iron and part of earthenware. Thou sawest until a stone was cut out of a mountain without hands, and it smote the image upon its feet of iron and earthenware, and utterly reduced them to powder. Then once for all the earthenware, the iron, the brass, the silver, the gold were ground to powder, and became as chaff from the summer threshing floor, and the violence of the wind carried them away, and no place was found for them. And the stone which had smitten the image became a great mountain, and filled all the earth. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, to whom the God of heaven has given a powerful and strong and honorable kingdom in every place where the children of men dwell. And he has given into thine hand the wild beasts of the field, and the birds of the sky, and the fish of the sea, and he has made thee Lord of all. So King Nebuchadnezzar was ruling the whole world. He was Lord of all. It continues, thou art the head of gold. So we know that each part of the statue represented a kingdom. And the first kingdom was the kingdom of Babylon, or the Chaldeans, where King Nebuchadnezzar was the ruler. He was the head of gold. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee. That's the second kingdom. And a third kingdom, which is the brass, which shall have dominion over all the earth. So the one thing that these four kingdoms have in common is that they were to have dominion or rulership over all the earth. And a fourth kingdom, which shall be strong as iron beats to powder and subdues all things, so shall it beat to powder and subdue. The nation represented by iron is the one that destroys everything it touches. It is a fierce nation that is hell-bent on destruction. For details of how that nation is destroying the earth at this very moment, please listen to my teaching entitled, The Truth About the Mark of the Beast. That is, the truth about the mark of the beast. Now let's look at a well-known Christian commentary to see what they have to say about the interpretation of King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. In the Matthew Henry's concise commentary, it says, 1. The head of gold signified the Chaldean empire then in being. So Daniel told King Nebuchadnezzar that he was the head of gold. This confirms that the head of gold indeed signified the Babylonian or Chaldean empire. It continues with number 2. The breast and arms of silver signified the empire of the Medes and Persians. We can find evidence that the Babylonian or Chaldean empire was overthrown by the Medes and Persians in Daniel chapter 5. I will read verses 1 to 2, verse 5, verses 25 to 28, and verse 30. That's Daniel chapter 5, verses 1 to 2, verse 5, verses 25 to 28, and verse 30. It says, Balthasar the king made a great supper for his 1,000 nobles, and there was wine before the 1,000. And Balthasar drinking gave orders as he tasted the wine, that they should bring the gold and silver vessels, which Nebuchadnezzar his father had brought forth from the temple in Jerusalem, that the king and his nobles, and his mistresses, and his concubines should drink out of them. Verse 5. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote in front of the lamp on the plaster of the wall of the king's house. And the king saw the knuckles of the hand that wrote. Verse 25. And this is the ordered writing. Mane, Thekel, Phares. This is the interpretation of the sentence. Mane, God has measured thy kingdom and finished it. So we know that the kingdom of Babylon was about to come to an end. Verse 27. Thekel, it has been weighed in the balance and found wanting. Phares, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Verse 30. In the same night was Balthasar the Chaldean king slain, put to death. We can clearly see from this passage that the Chaldean or Babylonian empire came to an end, it was finished, and was replaced by the empire of the Medes and Persians. This is how we know that the breast and arms of silver signified the empire of the Medes and Persians. The Bible commentary continues with number 3. The belly and thighs of brass signified the Grecian Empire, founded by Alexander. Daniel chapter 8 provides confirmation that the Medes and Persians would be overthrown by the Greeks. This means that the Greeks were the third kingdom to rule the world, according to King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Daniel chapter 8, I will read verses 1 to 7 and verses 15 to 21. That's Daniel chapter 8, verses 1 to 7 and verses 15 to 21. It reads thus. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Balthasar, a vision appeared to me, even to me Daniel, after that which appeared to me at the first. And I was in Susa the palace, which is in the land of Elam, and I was on the bank of Ubal, and I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, a ram standing in front of the Ubal, and he had high horns, and one was higher than the other, and the high one came up last. And I saw the ram butting westward and northward and southward, and no beast could stand before him, and there was none that could deliver out of his hand. And he did according to his will, and became great. And I was considering, and behold, a he-goat came from the southwest on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the earth. And the goat had a horn between his eyes, and he came to the ram that had the horns, which I had seen standing in front of the Ubal, and he ran at him with the violence of his strength. And I saw him coming up close to the ram, and he was furiously enraged against him. And he smote the ram, and broke both his horns, and there was no strength in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him on the ground, and trampled on him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Verse 15. And it came to pass, as I, even I, Daniel, saw the vision, and sought to understand it, that, behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard the voice of a man between the banks of the Ubal, and he called and said, Gabriel, cause that man to understand the vision. So the angel Gabriel was commanded to cause Daniel to understand the vision. The understanding of these mysteries always comes from the Most High. It continues. And he came and stood near where I stood, and when he came I was struck with awe, and fell upon my face. But he said to me, Understand, Son of Man, for yet the vision is for an appointed time. And while he spoke with me, I fell upon my face to the earth, and he touched me and set me on my feet. And he said, Behold, I make thee know the things that shall come to pass at the end of the wrath, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. The ram which thou sawest that had the horns is a king of the Medes and Persians. So just like in Daniel chapter 2, where the different parts of the statue or image represented kingdoms, now we are learning that the ram represented a kingdom, and this kingdom was specifically the Medes and Persians. The he-goat is the king of the Greeks, and the great horn which was between his eyes, he is the first king. So we have just seen that the he-goat, which represents the king of the Greeks, defeated the ram, which represents the king of the Medes and Persians. No one could deliver the Medes and Persians from the Greeks. This is how we know for certain that the belly and thighs of brass signified the Grecian Empire, which defeated and replaced the empire of the Medes and Persians. The Bible commentary continues with number 4. The legs and feet of iron signified the Roman Empire. This is where I firmly disagree with Christian Bible commentaries. It is widely claimed that the legs and feet of iron signified the Roman Empire, but there is a lot more to this claim than meets the eyes. I have just proven from the book of Daniel that the Babylonian Empire was overthrown by the Medes and Persians, and that they in turn were later conquered by the Greeks. However, there is nowhere in the book of Daniel or in the Holy Scriptures, which Christians call the Old Testament, that explicitly states that the feet of iron signified the Roman Empire. Herein lies the mystery of the fourth kingdom. If the book of Daniel explicitly reveals the identity of 1. the head of gold, which is a Chaldean or Babylonian empire, 2. the breast and arms of silver, which is the empire of the Medes and Persians, and 3. the belly and thighs of brass, which is the Grecian Empire, why does it not explicitly state that the Romans are the legs and feet of iron? Let me explain what actually happened and who is represented by the legs and feet of iron. The Grecian Empire, which was the third kingdom, was eventually defeated. This means that the fourth kingdom is the one that took the rulership from the Grecian Empire, and it is the one that is represented by the legs and feet of iron. This fourth kingdom is also the one that must remain in power until the Most High himself destroys it and replaces it with his own everlasting kingdom. This is what King Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream, that the stone that was cut out of the mountain without hands came and destroyed that statue, which means that when this is fulfilled, there must still be the fourth kingdom ruling, so that the Most High, represented by the stone, can destroy it. So the kingdom that is ruling now is the fourth kingdom, the one that is represented by the legs and feet of iron. What most people don't know is that the people who defeated the Greeks were not the original Romans. The Greeks were defeated by a bloodthirsty nation that destroyed the original Romans and assumed their identity. In other words, they were not Romans. They killed the Romans. They stole everything the Romans had. Then they assumed the identity of the Romans and called themselves Romans. These impostors thoroughly whitewashed the history of the original Romans and stole their identity. This is the same thing that they did to the original Israelites. They whitewashed our history and assumed our identity. To be perfectly clear, the original Romans were a people of color, just like everyone else on earth before this alien nation arrived on the scene. Let's learn about the original Romans and how they were destroyed and replaced by impostors. It is these impostors that took over rulership from the empire of the Greeks. It is these impostors who are in fact the children of Lucifer that are signified by the legs and feet of iron. On historydaily.org, there is an article entitled Etruscans' History. The first Romans were actually black people. Quote 1 is under the subheading, Did Black Etruscans Establish Rome? And it says, Mythology tells us that Rome was founded by the twins Romulus and Remus, orphans who spent their childhood suckling a wild wolf. But evidence suggests that the city may have been established by the Etruscans. So mythology, which is make-believe, says that these two twins who spent their childhood sucking the tits of a wild wolf established Rome. That's mythology. But evidence says that the city of Rome was established by the Etruscans, which were so-called black people. It continues. For example, some of the structures of ancient Rome predate the presence of the Romans. So some of the structures, the buildings of ancient Rome are older than, predate the presence of the impostors who call themselves Romans. If the place was built before they arrived, it means they did not build the place. They did not establish Rome. Rome was established by a so-called black people called the Etruscans, and appear to be similar to the building practices of the Etruscans, such as building their homes on the sides of cliffs. Rome was built on a series of hills, beginning with Palatine Hill. It is entirely plausible that ancient Romans, those are the originals, ancient Romans were dark-skinned people long before the influx of white-skinned Caucasians. So long before the white-skinned Caucasians, the impostors came in to Rome, it had already been established by the true Romans, the ancient Romans, the original Romans who were called Etruscans. They were black people. Quote number 2 is under the subheading Etruscan Art. It says, a number of ancient works of art remain from the time of the Etruscans, many of which depicts dark-skinned people. The Romans, meaning the impostors who later, so long afterwards, took over, which means conquered, stole, robbed the Etruscan cities, claimed that the mosaics, statues, and paintings of black people were all actually depictions of black slaves. They conquered the people, then claimed that the paintings and the drawings and the statues and mosaics of these black people were depictions of black slaves. It continues, but it seems unlikely that their slaves would be a favorite artistic subject matter for Etruscan artists. In other words, these Caucasians lied. Add to that the fact that many of the images show the dark-skinned people in positions of power. These are not slaves, these are rulers. And we have a bounty of evidence, not a little bit of evidence, but a bounty, an overwhelming amount of evidence that the Etruscans were in fact black. The evidence overwhelmingly proves that the original Romans were so-called black people. Yet this fact is routinely and systematically suppressed by the children of Lucifer, who are the impostors that destroyed the original Romans and assumed their identity. In the New World Encyclopedia, under the heading Etruscan Civilization and subheading Legacy, quote 1 says this: the Etruscans achieved a high level of social and political organization and of material and artistic culture. However, Etruria is often referred to as a lost civilization, because apart from reconstructing the archaeological record, what we know about this culture comes from outside sources, from Greek or Roman writers. It appears that the Roman writers may have been guilty of revisionism. So let's break this down. The Etruscans achieved amazing things socially, politically, and artistically. They were a great people, yet they're referred to as a lost civilization because they were so destroyed by the impostors that stole everything from them. The only way that we know about them is because of the archaeological record, and because there were few things written about them by the Greeks and by the impostors who call themselves Roman. And we can see that the Roman quote-unquote writers were guilty of revisionism. Why does it state that they were guilty of revisionism? Well, we must first understand the meaning of the word revisionism. And the Cambridge Dictionary defines the word revisionism as asking questions about and trying to change existing beliefs about how events happened or what their importance or meaning is. So the impostors who call themselves Romans tried to change existing beliefs about how Rome was established. Instead of admitting that there were a so-called black people called Etruscans who established Rome, who built Rome, who were the ancient, original, and true Romans, what they did is they rewrote the history of Rome, where Rome was now created by these two twins who spent their childhood sucking the tits of a wild wolf. How dare they? Quote number 2 says, there is little doubt, though, that the Etruscans did found Rome, or that almost all of their material culture was adopted by the Romans, meaning that these black Etruscans, who were the original Romans, they founded Rome. They were destroyed by the impostors, by the children of Lucifer, and all their culture was stolen. And these people went as far as to steal their name and dared to call themselves Romans. Just as they adopted Greek culture, they call it adopting. It's actually stealing. Everything that the children of Lucifer have is something that was stolen. There's nothing original about them. Quote number 3 says, Etruscan culture absorbed by Rome. They have all these nice little words like adopted and absorbed. Well, what they really mean is that these people were put to death. They were slain. The women were raped. The men were killed. They were completely destroyed and exterminated. Everything was stolen from them, and even their identity was stolen by the children of Lucifer. That's what it means when it says it was absorbed by Rome. Has also contributed to the development of European civilization, although its presence has been hidden and its voice silent. So again, in plain English, what this means is that the culture of these black Romans was stolen by the impostors who exterminated the black Romans, the true Romans, the original ancient Romans, and then these impostors referred to themselves as Romans. And it is this civilization that was adopted throughout Europe by the impostors and their children. In the meantime, the presence of the true, original, ancient, black Romans has been hidden from the rest of the world. This is the same thing that the children of Lucifer did to the true Israelites, who are dark-skinned or so-called black people. Now that we know that it was the children of Lucifer and not the original Romans who defeated the Greeks, let's continue to examine the interpretation of King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Daniel chapter 2 verse 43. Daniel chapter 2 verse 43 says, Whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with earthenware, they shall be mingled with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave together, as the iron does not mix itself with earthenware. Let's go to another Bible commentary, another Christian Bible commentary. And I choose to use this commentary to show that I'm not making this up. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Various explanations have been given of this verse, and it certainly is not an easy interpretation. Now, I disagree with this as well, because it's actually quite clear what this means. It says that they, meaning the people represented by the iron, who we know is the fourth kingdom, who are the children of Lucifer, shall be mingled with the seed of men. That's not deep. But let's keep reading. The phrase seed of men would properly denote something different from the original stock that was represented by iron. So the seed of men is completely different to the fourth kingdom, which is the children of Lucifer, which is the original stock that was represented by iron. It continues, some foreign admixture that would be so unlike that, and that would so little amalgamate with it as to be properly represented by clay as compared with iron. So the clay is referring to the seed of men, and the seed of men is so unlike that which is represented by iron that they're compared to clay and iron that do not mix well together. Again, the stock of Lucifer, meaning the children of Lucifer is very different from the rest of the world's population. We are so different that mixing with them is like mixing iron with clay. So the commentary uses the word stock. The phrase seed of man would properly denote something different from the original stock that was represented by iron. What is the meaning of the word stock? The Merriam-Webster dictionary defined the word stock as the descendants of one individual, family, or lineage. Example of European stock. So the scripture clearly says that the kingdom represented by iron, which is the descendants of one individual, and that individual is Lucifer, would mingle with the seed of men. Contrary to what is stated in the Christian Bible commentary, this is quite easy to interpret. The seed of men is represented by clay. The stock of Lucifer is represented by iron. Knowing that the Most High hates mixing, the children of Lucifer constantly push the agenda to mingle or mix with the seed of men. First, this was done by force, where the world's population was violently raped by the children of Lucifer, who then set up their caste system of white supremacy. This is why wherever we go in the world, there is this idea that the lighter your complexion, the higher your value. Nowadays, this intermingling is done by persuasion. We are so heavily bombarded by images of interracial couples on TV and on the internet that most people are now convinced that interracial marriage is a good thing. By encouraging the rest of the world to mix their seed, the children of Lucifer can mingle with the seed of men without other nations becoming suspicious of the agenda. In the New World Encyclopedia, under the heading Intermarriage and subheading Intermarriage Today, it says, views towards interreligious and interracial marriage have evolved considerably over time. What was once an unthought of transgression against one's family and culture is now commonplace. So mixing your seed with a foreign people was once thought of as a transgression or sin against one's family and culture. But nowadays, this practice is celebrated because of the children of Lucifer. To learn what the Holy Scriptures say about this now common practice, please listen to my teaching entitled, Are Interracial Marriages Wrong? That is, Are Interracial Marriages Wrong? Daniel chapter 2 will continue from verse 44. It says, And in the days of those kings, the God of heaven shall set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and his kingdom shall not be left to another people, but it shall beat to pieces and grind to powder all other kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So remember, the Most High's kingdom will be established at the destruction of the fourth kingdom. Every kingdom has borrowed from the kingdom that came before it. Therefore, even in the fourth kingdom, there are things that were taken from the Greeks, from the Medes and Persians, and from Babylon. But the fourth kingdom is the one that is currently in power. And the Most High will set up his kingdom, which will never be destroyed. And he shall completely demolish the fourth kingdom and everything that remains of the kingdom that came before. Verse 45. Whereas thou sawest that a stone was cut out of a mountain without hands, and it beat to pieces the earthenware, the iron, the brass, the silver, the gold, the great God has made known to the king what must happen hereafter. And the dream is true, and the interpretation thereof sure. So despite the apparent success of the children of Lucifer in ruling the world and mingling with the seed of men, they will soon be destroyed. To learn more about the destruction of the children of Lucifer, please listen to my teaching entitled, Can Gentiles Be Saved? That is, Can Gentiles Be Saved? In conclusion, we have learned, based on the interpretation of King Nebuchadnezzar's dream, that from the time of the prophet Daniel to this very day, there have been 4 kingdoms that ruled the world, and the 4th kingdom is still in power. Number 1, there was a Babylonian or Chaldean empire. Number 2, the empire of the Medes and Persians. Number 3, the Grecian Empire, and number 4, the empire of the children of Lucifer. These are the ones who destroyed the original, ancient, true, black Romans and assumed their identity. This 4th empire is obsessed with mingling their alien seed with the seed of men. However, the Most High will soon return, overthrow their kingdom, and establish his own everlasting kingdom that will never be replaced. All praises to the Most High. I pray that those who seek to please the Most High would repent before the kingdom of the children of Lucifer comes to an end and it is too late. And with that I say, Shalom.